Okay then. Hello everyone. That yesterday we ended our session with the explanation of DSSS, that is direct sequence spread spectrum. So now today we are going to see FHSS, that is frequency hopping spread spectrum. Okay, so how it is used and where it is used, that we are going to see. Okay, so now FHHS stand for frequency hopping spread spectrum, as I said, and in this particular technique the entire available bandwidth is split into many channels of smaller bandwidth. Again, I'm repeating, in this particular technique the entire bandwidth is split into many channels of smaller bandwidth. Okay, as well as the guard pace between those particular smaller bandwidths it added to avoid the adjacent channel interference. Okay, that adjacent channel interference is interference between two consecutive channel is known as adjacent channel interference. That is nothing but ACI, that is adjacent channel interference. Okay, so now transmitter and receiver, okay, transmitter and receiver that stay on one of these smaller channels for a certain period of time, and then it get hop hope I'm talking about, or jump we can say to another channel. So remember here we have divided entire bandwidth into small channels. Okay, so when we are going to transmit the user data, user bit will be remaining on one of these small channels for a certain period of time, then it will be jumping to another small channel for another period of time, and so on. Okay, so in short the system is implementing a combination of both FDMA and TDMA. Okay, that is frequency division multiplexing and time division multiplexing. Okay, because splitting the large bandwidth into small channel is nothing but the FDM, whereas transmitting user data for a small amount of time for a particular channel is nothing but the use of TDM. Okay, so at different times we are using different channels. Okay, so that is TDM. So the pattern of the channel usage is called as a hopping sequence. Okay, what is hopping sequence we have already seen yesterday. Okay, so what is the pattern of channel usage means? Okay, so let's say I have divided the bandwidth into 4 channels, suppose that F1, F2, F3 and F4. Okay, so there are 4 smaller channels available for user data transmission. Now my data will be transmitted not in the same sequence like F1, F2, sorry, F1, F2, F3 and F4. It may stay on F4 initially. Okay, later on it will jump to suppose F2. Okay, then it may jump to F1 again. Okay, so and then it may go to F3. Okay, so the sequence here is 4213. Okay, which is different than the original sequence. Okay, so this sequence or pattern of channel usage is called as a hopping sequence. Okay, so that varies. Okay, so sometimes we use the same channel again like F4, F2, F1, then again F3. I might use F4 again. Okay, so this may also happen so that frequency selective fading can be avoided. Okay, so the time spent on the particular smaller channel with certain frequency is called as a dwell time. Time spent on a particular smaller channel with a certain frequency is called as a dwell time. So it is given over here. Here you can see. Okay, sorry, the E is missing over here. Okay, It is a dwell time. Okay, the time spent on the channel with a certain frequency. So amount of time spent on a particular channel by the user bit is called as a dwell time. Okay, so this sequence of frequency is determined by, again, the same chipping sequence or the pseudo noise sequence. Okay, so this combination that we have seen 4213, it is not random, it is predefined by this pseudo random number sequence. Okay, so there are two types of these FHSS. One is the fast hopping and other one is the slow hopping sequence. Okay, in fast hopping, a single user in fast hopping, a single user bit stays on number of frequency channels, that is several frequencies per user bit. Again, I am repeating, in fast hopping, a single user bit, that is a data bit, stays on a number of frequency channel. That means that is several frequency per user bit. Okay, so 0 may we stay on, suppose 0 is my input, so 0 may stay on 3 different frequency. Okay, in slow hopping, it exactly reverse procedure is followed. So 3 bits might stay on single frequency. Okay, समझ में आ रहा है? That means what? In fast hopping, 1 bit can stay on 3 different frequencies, whereas in slow hopping, 3 bits might stay on single frequency. Okay, so how this is deployed or how it is implemented, that we will see in the next slide. Okay, this is the diagram you can easily able to see on your screen. So consider this particular diagram. Now if you see the first part, that is the first diagram is about the user data, then below that the next is the slow hopping sequence, and below that next is the fast hopping sequence. Okay, so this is our user data. Here you can see this is our user data. Okay, so now consider the bit 010 means, now consider the bit 010 means till here I'm talking about this bit 0, 1 and 0, because for this 3 bit we are checking out for the below diagrams. Okay, so now the example of slow hopping we will take. Okay, so now in slow hopping, several bits on a single channel. Slow hopping is what? Several bits. That means here you can see 3 bits per hop. Okay, several bits on a single channel. So let's say 3 bits are using the same frequency channel. 3 bits are using the same frequency channel. So here bits are what? 0, 1, 0. 3 bits we have taken 0, 1, 0. So that is the first set of user data bits are initially staying on channel number 2, that is F2. Now here you can see F2 channel, the bit number 1, that is 0 bit, bit number 2, that is bit 1 bit, and bit number 3, that is again a 0 bit. So now if you see, all 3 bits are available and staying on a same channel, that is they are using the F2 channel only. Okay, or F2 frequency only. Okay, so you can see 0 is staying on F1, you can clearly see. Then F1, okay, 0 is staying on F1, not F1, F2. 0 is staying on F2. Then second bit is also staying on F2, and again the third 0 is also staying on F2. Okay, after that they will move to the next channel or they will hop to the next channel. So here you see after this 3 bit per hop, now they have changed their pattern, means from F2 they have changed to F1 here. Okay, sorry, F1, that is F3. Now F2 to they have changed their path to F3. Okay, so now if you see carefully to distinguish between the 0 and 1, How we will distinguish 0 and 1? You can see here that data bit 0 stays on the frequency slightly lower to F2. Isliye you can see here you can see the 0 bit is staying slightly lower to F2. See, F2 is dotted line here, shown here. I'll draw with the other pen so that. Okay. So you can see here, F2 is this line. Okay. And 0 stays on the frequency slightly lower than F2. Okay. Whereas data bit 1 stays on frequency slightly higher than F2. इसलिए यहाँ पे देखो. So that will distinguish between 0 and 1. Okay. So if frequency are slightly lower than F2, it means it will be a 0. And if frequency is slightly higher than F2, then it will be 1. So 3 data bits per signal frequency, that is channel F2, okay, is followed with this particular pattern. Okay, so that is called as a slow hopping sequence. After that, you see from F2 it will jump to F3 and so on. Okay, then what is the fast hopping? Okay, so the third diagram is of fast hopping. So again, we will see that. So now we'll see the fast hopping here. Okay. So one user database stays on the several channels. Let's say 0. We'll check initially. What is fast hopping? That one user database stays on several channels. Okay. That means we will consider the bit 0 here. So we'll consider this part only right now. The left portion of this part means I'm talking about this part only. Okay, from this to this. Okay, so initially it stays on F1. You can see initially it stays in F1. Okay, since it is 0, frequency it's slightly lower than F1 is used, and then it jumps to or hops to F3 here. Again, you can see here. Again, frequency slight lesser or a slight lower than F3, and then it jumps to F2. Okay, so the same bit you can see here, frequency is same bit here. You can see that pattern followed is it will jump, started with F1, then it jumps to F3 and it jumps to F2. So now these patterns are generated by the pseudo noise sequence, and it is known as a fast hopping, where 3 hops are taken for a single bit. Whereas in the slow hopping, what we have seen, the 3 bits are taken after 3-bit execution, the hops, the next hop will take place. That means next jump to another frequency will take place. Okay, so that is what regarding this is the fast hopping and slow hopping. Okay, so this is what. Now we will see the transmitter part or the transmission and the reception part of FHSS, which is what is FHSS and how its execution take place. Okay, so before seeing that, let's see the advantage before moving to the next part, that is the diagram. The advantage of FHSS, obviously the entire spectrum technology is having advantage of reducing the frequency selective fading. Okay, because we are using sequence or pseudo random noise. So then if you see, the implementation of this is much simpler as compared to DSSS in terms of transmitter and receiver, how we will see in the block diagram. Okay, now the third advantage is it is uses only a small portion of spectrum at a particular given moment of time. So other remaining spectrum remains available for the other application as well. Now the disadvantage is it is not as robust as DSSS. Okay, since we are dividing the bandwidth into the smaller channels. Okay, still we will encounter the frequency selective fading, although it is reduced to a certain level, so it will still be higher than that of the DSSS. Another disadvantage is it is simpler to detect. Now, simpler to detect means now how this particular thing is disadvantage. So this is the disadvantage in terms of attacks basically. So if it is simpler to detect means anyone, that means any intruder can simply detect the transmission, and higher security needs to be provided in the case of FHSS. So the real life example of FHSS is the Bluetooth. Okay, so as you can see in the particular slide here, what these numbers are, I tell you. Okay, so Bluetooth is using total 1600 number of hops, okay, per second. Okay, and it uses 79 different channels for performing these 1600 hopping sequence or hops. Okay, so there are total, suppose channel 79 channels means F1 to F79 channels are there. F1 to F79 channels are there. The sequence followed for utilizing these 79 frequencies is within 1 second. Total within 1 second, it will take 1600 hops. Means it will jumps 1600 times. Okay, from F1 to F79. Okay, or in, it will take any pattern from F1, it will, from F1 it will jump to F4, then it will jump to F73 and so on. It will take depending on the pseudo random sequence. Okay, so Bluetooth is using FHSS. Now we will see the transmitter and receiver block diagram of FHSS. Okay, so basically it is very much simpler as compared to the DSSS, that is direct sequence spread spectrum, because here you can see only three blocks are there, two modular box and one frequency synthesizer is available there. So you can see a user data here, you can see user data, okay, which is having certain frequencies applied to the modulator. Okay, so this is done for taking it to the higher frequency range. Okay, so here it will be provided with the carrier frequency FC. Now our user data, that is, let's say user data is 1 megahertz. Okay, so carrier will be of much larger frequency. So this FC will divide the entire bandwidth into the smaller narrow band signal. Here it will divide it into smaller narrow band signal, and the frequency synthesizer, okay, which is used for generating frequency, will provide another input to the second modulator, okay, which will spread this narrowband signal into spread spectrum signal. So whatever spread spectrum will be done, that will be done at this modulator, okay, which will be the output for this modulator too. Okay, that means initially user data that is converted into a higher frequency of narrowband signal. This narrowband signal hopes to one of the frequency generated by the frequency synthesizer. Synthesizer means it will generate a different frequency levels, okay, or signals with different frequency levels or input to this particular this particular frequency synthesizer. Is another input provided, that is nothing but the hopping sequence, which will decide the pattern in which, or a sequence in which this particular signal will be or frequencies are generated. Okay, like F2, F4, F1, that sequence will be decided by hopping sequence. Okay, then such spreaded signal will be transmitted. Okay, so that is the transmitter is, it is very much easy to understand. Whereas when we talk about the receiver, here the below diagram is talking about the receiver. Okay, so here the receiver is exactly reverse procedure of that of transmission, where received signal, which is spreaded one, definitely here the particular signal that we get an output for the transmitter will be the spreaded signal or spread signal. Okay, so that will be given to demodulator and it will demodulate using the same hopping sequence. Okay, with the same hopping sequence and the same frequency synthesizer. Okay, the pattern followed here, if it was suppose 4 to 1 यहाँ पे दिया रहेगा, then same pattern will be used here for hopping sequence 4 to 1. Okay, so same pattern will be used, that is 4 to 1. So hopping sequence will be remain same. So यहाँ पे क्या होगा, it will despread the particular signal जो भी रहेगा उसको despreading करेंगे and here you will get the narrow band signal. Okay, so it will generate a narrow band signal which is of higher frequency compared to the original user data from the narrow band signal, and again we will use the carrier frequency here, that is FC here. Okay, to generate a frequency or signal for the original user data signal. So the secondary modulator is responsible for downgrading the higher signal, that means the higher frequency signal, to the original frequency of the user data. So here there is no need to use a correlator. We have seen the use of correlator in DSSS. Why we are not using correlator here? Because the signal which is generally inward is the hopping to different frequencies rather than having a particular time slot to it. So no correlation is required in the case of FHSS. Okay, so this FHSS is much simpler for the generation and detection as compared to the DSSS. Okay, so that is what the frequency hopping spread spectrum is. Here we have seen two different types of frequency hopping. One is the fast hopping sequence and the other one is the slow hopping sequence. Whereas in fast hopping we have seen that one particular database bit is taking multiple hops for the execution of bit, whereas in the slow hopping we have seen multiple multiple bits can get executed on a single hop or single signal frequency. Okay, so that is what the frequency hopping spectrum. Okay, so we'll move forward to the last topic of our module, that is module 1, that is nothing but the introduction to the cellular system. So we will see that. Okay, okay, can you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the last part of for the introductory module, that is the module number 1, and this is the introduction of cellular system. But we will see much more on this in chapter number 2 also, because it is related with the GSM only. So we'll start with the particular module, that cellular system. So the question is, what is cellular system? What is the meaning of word cellular here, or in the cellular system we can say? So that we will see in this particular topic. Okay, so let's begin with it. In the previous slides we have seen for communication we required a network coverage, that we know, and we need an antenna to provide that particular coverage, because without that it will not be possible. So we required the antenna, and that antenna should have the capability to cover certain area. So we have assumed the antenna called isotropic kind of radiator, which transmit with equal power in all direction. So if we see, if we consider the particular pattern like a circle, so pattern like a circle, okay, then we consider that antenna is situated over here or fitted in the middle or the center of the circle, and it should radiate in all direction. Okay, that is a requirement. So this radiation pattern looks like a circle, we can see, but practically achieving this circle is not possible. We know, we have also seen that it was isotropic antenna cannot be practically possible. So how we are, or how are we going to achieve radiation with equal power in all direction, that we will see here. Okay, so what is the cellular system? Let's see that first. So now in mobile communication, if you know that to enable the communication between two parties or multiple parties, all user must provide with the electromagnetic radiation, that means range. Okay, that is the frequencies must be made available to them. So there are large area that has to be covered through it. Okay, so larger the area, we know that more the amount of power that will be required to transmit the radiation in the region. Again, I'm repeating, the larger the area, more the amount of power that will be required to transmit the radiation in that particular region. Okay, for example, if I draw a small area like here, I'll draw. If I draw the small area, okay, here you can see, and center in this particular small area center, we have antenna. So we have to transmit only in a particular direction so that users within the region will be able to communicate. So maybe if I use a directional antenna, maybe direction will be this, direction will be this, or any other direction it may have. Okay, but if you have the larger circle, suppose if we have the larger circle, then definitely that distance will be going to increase. We need antenna which is capable of transmitting. Again, the antenna will be placed over here, but it must be capable of transmitting variation to the it must have the capability to transmit to the larger distance, and larger distance means definitely will have the interference here, because as the distance increases, interference will going to get increase. Okay, so and that interference is nothing but a problematic case. So covering the entire world with a single structure is not possible, that we know. Okay, so that's why we need a particular system which is nothing but the cellular system. So in mobile communication, entire world or entire region of coverage is divided into small regions. Okay, and that's why it's implemented, that is the mobile communication system is implemented a space division multiplexing. It is implemented via a space division multiplexing. Okay, so we have seen what is space division multiplexing is already yesterday, in the last to last lecture, I guess. In the previous topics we have already covered that. Okay, so mobile communication system implements the space division multiplexing, in which an entire world, or you can say entire region, will be divided into different spaces. That is different smaller regions, we can say, and each region will be associated with one base station. Okay, which will have an antenna to cover and radiation among the particular region to provide the coverage. So that particular small region which will be covered by a single base station is known as a cell. Again, I'm repeating, a small region which will be covered by a single base station is known as a cell. Okay, so now we'll see why it is called as a cell, because we have seen that we cannot achieve the circular radiation pattern, that means isotropic antenna is not possible. So in the sector range antenna, you might have seen, or we have seen, that we can form a beams of different shapes and sizes to achieve the radiation pattern. Okay, means what kind of pattern, I'll tell you. If you remember, we have seen this kind of pattern, okay, which will, okay, to achieve the radiation pattern, which will be closer to our circular pattern. It is not exactly the circle, but if we implemented antenna such a way that it will going to cover the, or it will looks like it will cover a circular, it will looks like a circular pattern. Okay, so several beams can be formed and we can achieve the circular pattern using these particular beams. If you remember, we have used, instead of beam, we have used word called lobe previously. Okay, so lobes are created. Okay, so now if you closely look to this particular diagram or the particular thing, we will have different shapes which will be closer to the circular pattern. Okay, so suppose erase करना पड़ेगा. Okay, suppose if we take a triangle, suppose if we take a, if we take a triangle here as a shape. Okay, so at the center we have the antenna, you know, at the center we'll place the antenna here, which may cover this region, which may cover this region too, which may cover this region too, though it is a, and each direction is covered by the beam. Okay, which will be look like this. Then the shape may be a triangle, but in case of triangle, but in case of triangle, the amount of area, the amount of area which is not covered by the radiation will be like something like this. Sorry. So that will be like, that will be like this. This if I draw the circle here, so it will be like this. Okay, okay, which will definitely not going to cover certain area, which will remain uncovered. Okay, so triangular pattern is not desirable, we can see with the diagram. So let's consider the square pattern or rectangular pattern. Suppose if you also could able to check out the circular pattern for this also after implementing antenna over here, so again it will not going to cover the whole area, or so rectangle is also not closer to the circular pattern because a lot of area remains uncovered here in rectangle case also. So you can take pentagon also, you can take several other shapes also. So as well as more of the number of sides to the pattern or shapes more complex, it will be become more complex to construct the particular shape or particular circle. So we are using one pattern, and that pattern is hexagon pattern. Okay, which is a best shape which is used in the cellular system. So how it will be used, we'll see. Okay, so hexagon is the best shape that gives you the coverage area which is closer to the radiation pattern of a circle. Okay, means how it will look like, I'll draw here. Sorry. So how it will look like? This is the one complete side. So if we consider the hexagon and if we try to draw the circle, so it will cover the maximum area of the circle, which is closer to the radiation pattern of the circle. So less amount of coverage area remains uncovered here, okay, by the transmission, and that's why hexagonal shape is mostly followed in the mobile communication system for achieving transmission, for transmit or achieving transmission area, we can say, for a desired circular pattern. Okay, so that sense the shape of the area is considered to be a hexagon, that is called as a sail. Okay, so coverage area are said to be covered by hexagonal shaped sail, we can say, which are closer to the radiation pattern of isotropic radiator. So mobile station communicate, or mobile station communication will happen with each other on the with the base station. So if you have a sail within a region, that will be, or you have a sail within a region, it will have the base station antenna. Okay, so there will be the antenna at the center. Two users, suppose two mobile users, can communicate with each other. One mobile user is present here, suppose one mobile user is present here and another mobile user is present here, suppose. Okay, then they can communicate with each other only through the base station. Okay, they cannot directly communicate with each other. They have to communicate with base station only for their communication. The direct link cannot be provided. Okay, so direct link is not provided. So base station is responsible for communication between two users. So we'll see what are the advantages of certain, or what are the advantages of creating this particular cell structure. Okay, so we know the smaller the coverage area, the smaller the number of users are there, so it can be it can accommodate smaller users. If we have the larger the coverage area, then the larger of the size of the cell, and large number of users can cover that, can be covered under that. So higher capacity it can be achieved with the hexagonal shape compared to the triangular or rectangular and any other pattern. So more number of users will be available to this, more number of users available to hexagonal pattern, cell structure pattern. Okay, or will be able to communicate in this type of pattern. So also, since shape of cell will be hexagonal, the transmission power required will be less as compared to the others, because as it is closer to the circular pattern, the size of a cell will be smaller compared to the entire coverage area. Okay, so as the entire coverage area is divided into number of cells, the transmission power required will be much lesser. Okay, so if let's say we have a city like Thane. Okay, so the coverage area for Thane will be divided into number of small cells, because whole Thane is not covered under the one particular area or one particular base station. So small cells we create, and so the multiple antennas can be used for covering individual cells. So less transmission power will be required for covering smaller cells. We know that the small is the small, as much as small region we cover, so that less power will be required to communicate for the antenna. Okay, so advantage of cellular structure is more number of antennas that are used, and that's why lesser transmission power required. And if we had used only single antenna to cover entire Thane region, so we would have we would have needed larger transmission power to cover such a large area. Okay, then since we are defining entire region in different cells, so let's say example of 3 cell. I'll draw 3 cell here. This is the cell number 1, suppose. This is the cell number 2, and this is the cell number 3. It is in hexagonal shape. Okay, so each cell is associated with one base station. So here one base station is there, here one base station is there, and here one base station is there. So that is our provider. Base station is our provider of communication channel. So now all these 3 cells are a part of single region. Suppose Thane city, let's say example is Thane. So people move from one region to another region also. Suppose if one user is right now available here, he may be walking and mobile in nature, so he may travel to other region, he may travel to this third region also. Okay, so people move from one region to another region. So one smaller region to another, one smaller region to another smaller region, they will move. So all these stations, that is base station, need to communicate with each other continuously to provide the services to the particular user. So a user who is currently in the cell number 3, suppose I'll give you the number for cell. This is the cell number 1, this is cell number 2, and this is cell number 3. Okay, so the user who is currently in cell number 3, it will move to cell number 2, and then it will move to cell number 1. So this user moves in the particular direction, maybe from 3 to 1 to 2, which is already shown. Okay, so all base station need to provide services to particular mobile users. Okay, so he should be able to communicate, and that is where the cellular structure provide the flexibility of decentralizing the process of service that it provides. Okay, and the load of single base station becomes reduced because of the decentralized process. So it is more robust compared to the covering entire region with a single cell, because whenever the user moves, only one entity or only one base station would have been responsible for providing services. So now it is divided amongst a number of base stations. So that's why cellular structure will be needed here. Now another advantage of this decentralized process is the structure of it. The problem of interference will be tackled by the number of base stations rather than the single entity. Bisu, tackling the interference by the single base station is not possible. So smaller station or smaller areas with the base station will definitely want to tackle the interference very easily. So also the area that should be covered in terms of transmission power, there will be going to get reduction in that. So base station will be key component of this cellular structure. Then there is a certain limitations also for this cell structure. Now, as we have seen, the entire coverage region or entire city or entire district or entire state, suppose. Okay. So if the number of base stations involved in that, for each particular cell, there will be requirement of fixed network for base station also. So that is one of the limitation, or we can say problem encountered in the cellular system, because infrastructure will be increased in a use manner. Okay, because smaller cells, individual cells required base station and so on. Also another problem is that when a user moves from one cell to another cell, that we have seen just now. Okay, so if a user is in a particular cell, moves to the next cell, then again it will move to the next cell of the same region, that is say in Thane itself, from east Thane east to Thane west, suppose. Okay, so in that case what will happen? So it will there must be a different base station that are involved in the communication. So each base station will have the different frequency sets available to it. Okay, so it has to handle all those things. Okay, and that must be tackled through the base stations. And suppose base station have the set of frequencies which are denoted by maybe f1, which are denoted by f1, f2, and so on. So suppose when a user moves from one cell to another cell, his communication channel has to be moved from f1 to f2, because suppose one particular cell is using f1, and suppose this particular cell is using f2, and this particular cell is using suppose f3. Then when he moves from cell 1 to cell 2, his frequency must get changed. Okay, and that is required frequency in the case of mobile communication, because user is mobile. Okay, and so that is the major problem which is tackled, or which we can tackle up to a very good extent in a modern day era, by using the concept of frequency reuse. How it will be implemented, we will see. So that is a second problem. Now the third problem is, what if another neighboring cell uses the same set of frequencies? Let's say one more cell, if I draw here, which is a cell number 4, and if it uses the f1 again, okay, then what will happen? Okay, so there will be interference between these two cells, because both are using the same frequency sets. Okay, so the users in cell number 4 as well as users in cell number 1 will face the interference. Okay, if they come closer to the boundary areas, definitely the interference will be there, and that is also one problem that is faced in the cellular system. Okay, so that was the problems are. Now what is the size of cellular system, or the coverage area? So that size may be, or what is the cell size we consider. So now, depending on the number of users within the particular city or village, the size cells varies from 100 meter to several kilometers. I'm not say 35 kilometers, but several kilometers, depending on the user density. Or maybe you may say, you may see that in crowded city like Mumbai and Thane, the cell size will be only up to 100 meters, because density of the users is quite higher. Okay, but if you move to villages, okay, that can be extended up to 35 kilometers or more kilometers also, depending on the population. So sometimes it can be lesser for higher frequencies, or so cell size depending on the number of users in that particular region. So cell size, the overall cell size is dependent on that particular thing, that where we are using that particular cell structure, whether it is used in a, whether we are using it in a city like Thane or Mumbai, or whether we are using it in a village where the population is very low. Okay, so that is what the sale means. Okay, so we have further part that we will see in the next lecture, regarding the frequency planning. So